Hey everybody, this is another week with the BAM crew here. We got the balloon animal. He'll tell you why his name is the balloon animal. And we got the Prince of Ethiopia here. And you got me, B. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start off the easy hitters and then we'll go through the main topics. The first topic I got on hand is ex Coinbase employee and two others charged with insider trading of crypto assets. So they basically worked at Coinbase and then they had some transactions, and internally they were insider trading some of their cryptocurrencies, and then they were busted because they went because the listings that they had over 10 months of trading, and they have 14 listings, and then that generated $1.5 million of illegal profits. And then now federal prosecutors has charged those three men of conspiracy to commit wire fraud and wire fraud. Thoughts, Adam?
No joke. Like even if you're an altcoin, like all those, like even it's when you work for a bank or a financial institution, they take all that shit seriously. So you got to report all your financial shit. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Matthews?
I think it's interesting because this means that more regulation will be coming to the crypto markets, and I think this is a good precedent, I guess. Yeah.
You know what's funny though?
Yeah.
I know we're speaking out of turn, but check out that Jon Stewart dealio about his segment on SEC decision. Basically, the court said SEC has no power to do all that shit.
No, they really
Yeah.
don't. No, they really don't. They're just a blank check, really.
Yeah.
I disagree, but let's continue.
You think they have power, but they don't.
Oh,
Matthews, topic number 2.
Yeah. I posted in the article, the UK is having a leadership, there's a leadership contention in the Conservative Party in the UK to replace Boris Johnson. And I have found it quite interesting, at least of which on the surface is history making. And unlike any political debate you hear in the US, there is actually a policy debate going on. One says let's cut taxes, the other says let's keep taxes, and one says let's spend a little more without taxing, just deficit spending basically. And I found their debate quite substantive. Oh, any thoughts, you guys?
I can go this one first. I think that the Conservative Party needs to really figure themselves out and find their identity, because right now they don't really have an identity. I don't really follow Great Britain politics, but that's my kind of suggestion there. They wanted something, and that wasn't Boris Johnson, and that wasn't it at the end of the day.
That's fair. Adam?
I don't care about that shit. Like Parliament can go suck it because they have a lot better political system than we do. So
That's true.
well, like congratulations, you found stability.
Political nirvana.
Adam, what you got?
So Minnesota has the lowest unemployment rate. And that's it.
Amazing. For Q2.
Just among all the states.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
And yeah,
quite impressive. That says something to the leadership of the states. So Governor Walz should get credit for it in the upcoming election campaign. He's up for re-election.
1 minute left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Good point. This is the economy of Minnesota can really boost his re-election campaign. He just talks about that. Now he kind of tackled COVID. Be very interesting. On the other side, I think his opponents, they don't really have a good case, really, because they're trying to carry and pick back off of Mr. T. But interesting. I think the next topic is it's too short, but
30 seconds. Go, go, go.
Amazon acquires medical clinic, one medical clinics. That's a $25 million dollar investment. Thoughts?
B with a billion?
3.9, sorry, 3.9 billion.
I want to see if this goes for Amazon Prime. That's all there.
No, it might be. It might be, man. It might be.
It's just Amazon continuing to diversify. So I think that's interesting.
It's interesting because Bezos didn't have the move. It was the person after Bezos.
Well, Bezos is still chairman of the board and president of the company still. So he's not technically in the driver's seat for day-to-day activities, but I think he's still overseeing the strategy. So yeah.
He has a voice, but he doesn't have the biggest voice anymore.
I agree.
Yeah. All right. I think, all right. Now we are at the big topics of the week. Are you ready? Bumper drum roll. The first topic I have this week is the Senate advances a bill to bolster the U.S. competitive with China, and that is with the semiconductor bill. So it's a $52 billion package of subsidies for semiconductor makers to help build up and lead up to the momentum in the efforts to enact a major industrial policy bill for the United States, so that they don't have to really work and go against and benefit really coming from Taiwan. What are your thoughts with that change and with that policy? Do you agree with that policy? Do you disagree? Do you see some, what's that word? Do you guys see some like, I'm going blank. I see like, you need like controversy with it at all.
I think inflation, I think, John Oliver did a segment this week about inflation. And one of the topics that he mentioned was about supply and demand, right? And the stuff that he did miss is the notion of the fact that input goods is probably one of the driving factors. And having a bill that would subsidize in particular industries that's struggling, especially with a lot of input goods, would help out with the current inflation crisis.
I think the semiconductor chips and other manufacturing capability bill that is kind of in the Senate, and originally it's supposed to be $250 billion actually, along with other packages, and that was months ago. And I think this is just a slashed version of it. And I think this is still good for the company. For the country, because the US is heavily dependent on Taiwan, especially for microchips that go into many manufactured goods that are both manufactured overseas and domestically. And I think this will help the country better prepare for any eventualities for the geopolitical wrestling that's going on in the Southeast Asia with respect to China and China's ambition to expand its influence to the nearby countries, including reclaiming Taiwan. So I think if the US can prepare itself and unwind itself from its dependency on Taiwan in that regard, the more the merrier is what I would say. And I think this has bipartisan support. There's some politics in it, unfortunately, as with everything, that is kind of not pleasant, but I think this will better prepare us for any eventualities in the geopolitical struggle over in that area. So I think this is good overall, more positives than negatives.
The one thing that article missed, because it focused on Texas Instrument and NVIDIA, was the fact that Apple make their own chips, M1. So like,
yeah, but where do they make them? Where do they make them, right?
They make them. There's incentive to make it here, Matthias.
Yeah, I know. That's,
Is that like that's the one thing that like folks have to get off from is looking at like all these news and just look at these specific companies. So look at other companies that are actually trying to reduce their input cost. So, you know, we're not financial advisors, obviously, but we are good at analyzing. So
One interesting point of view is you see who trades these tickers for them.
what is it?
Who trades these
I
tickers for them?
know.
With the $54 billion sticker.
And next thing you know, Microsoft has an incentive to make their own chip.
Exactly.
You know, say goodbye to Intel and AMD. Now,
And
I'm
then who's
surprised
gonna?
AMD's not even on this list as well, too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's very interesting because you think about it. Whoever these people know, right? They're gonna get the contract for this too. So they're fighting for it. But you think about it. Nancy Pelosi's husband trades her stocks, right? He has traded Nvidia 4 times. Interesting.
The biggest thing with that is that every brokerage account that you gotta like open, you have to disclose whether or not you're like how tied you are to the government.
Yeah.
And like all that stuff is like you have to file like an SEC form for that too. So I mean, like, yeah, you're right. Like everyone kind of like benefits from it, but who benefits the most is people with the larger stakeholder. But
yeah, it's very interesting. You pointed that, you see that point, but if you look at the macroeconomics, like what Matthews mentioned, it's very beneficial in 10 years from now. We really need that.
Even 5. We don't even know when China is intending to invade Taiwan, you know? Yeah. So
but then you think about it'll take like 3 to 5 years to build that manufacturing plant, depending on the red tape that needs to be done for it.
Yeah.
Too.
And finally, I think this also has a side benefit that is kind of unintended, especially in terms of healing the politics. There are going to be tons of jobs coming to Ohio. Intel is planning to open a factory there, semiconductor factory there, and other companies are intending to open it in Texas, in Arizona. So this is overall has way more positives than negatives, even though we see some of the negatives with side shenanigans in terms of like who bought some of the stocks ahead of the bill passing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Adam, you want to go next, or should I go next?
Sure. Sorry, I was looking at how microchips are made. It's like silicone layers, which is pretty cool. I mean, especially 3D printing, honestly. So reasons why my name is Balloon Animal this week is basically the articles that I shared is kind of coincidentally with the yield curve that I'm consistently watching. Basically, the article is the World Bank says most countries are headed for a recession and warns of a possible return of the 1970s stagflation. So around that period, essentially, if you could dumb down the article a little bit, is like there's just a large period of high inflation and no growth, and and a lot of experts say that global growth is kind of skewed because of the recent pandemic. But putting more info to the whole article is that if you guys have noticed, we did a segment on the yield curve. It started to invert it around April 1st, but this July, I think like July 5th or so, it inverted even further, and it still stayed inverted. So our model basically expanded to like 2.5 months. And I think B, before this broadcast, mentioned that we have to test it against other situations historically, as there are not that many events where this is statistically significant, unfortunately. Well, I guess fortunately, because recessions are bad, but to somebody who likes all this shit, yeah, like that's something you got to look out for.
Matthews, what you thought?
I think this is very, very interesting, and I do buy the idea that this is similar to the 1970s situation, especially because during that time there was an oil embargo from the OECD countries due to the Western countries' support for Israel during the Yom Kippur War, and that cut out the oil supply to a lot of Western economies, and that's when the G8 actually started, or G7, I think, and and the current situation is kind of similar, and the contributing factors are also very reminiscent of that era. So I think the forecast from World Bank is quite prescient, if I may say that word, and the future is kind of uncertain, as I said. So I do buy their forecast, is I guess what I can say. And yeah.
The FRBSF, I'm reading this from the Investment Chronicle, and they did a predictive power to check out the inverted yield rates, yield curves, and they found that between 1955 and 2018, the inverted yield curve did correctly signal all 9 U.S. recessions, but it also generated one false positive.
Which one was that?
This article didn't mention it, but
dang it,
I think, yeah, it might be the 2019.
The
2019 one.
The 2019 one.
2019 one.
Really?
To the COVID. For the COVID.
So I like when I was looking at the data, right?
Mm-hmm.
I saw that most of them are just exogenous events, and it's not like something that dictates the end of a business cycle.
Mm-hmm.
But well, when I was looking at the precursor to 2019, it was in August 27th, because that's when it inverted, and it only inverted for like a couple of weeks. Yeah, August 26th to September 3rd, maybe just a week. And then like maybe that's, I guess that's by their definition of a false positive, maybe.
Yeah.
That's interesting though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Matthews,
what's the article?
What's your article, my boy? My man? My prince?
We got 9 minutes.
My topic of the week is how inflation is eating away at insurers' profit, and the news says that there was a 41% decline for travelers, and other insurers such as Allstate are also seeing similar conditions for their bottom line, that a lot of replacement parts prices are going way up, and this is reducing their forecast. And I'm wondering what what the conclusion is for the average consumer. And my conclusion is that this is just gonna be an additional cost as a side, as an impact of inflation continues to rise. The insurance premium for everyone will increase significantly, and I think this is just going to reduce the disposable income everyone has to spend on whatever leisurely activity they have, and this has a negative impact on the overall economy, even though this is a minor contributor in the larger scheme of things. What I concluded after reading this article. What do you guys think? Do you think the insurance premium going up for everyone as a result of companies' input costs? Well, I guess not input cost, replacement cost for parts going up. What do you guys think?
Insurance, as in car insurance, or what kind of insurance?
I got blocked by the paywall, so I can't review.
Oh, okay. This is travelers. Yeah, travelers, Allstate, so car, home, everything.
Honestly, it's what people should worry about is the Fed's increasing interest rate. Powell did admit, and I think this was like part of like Oliver's segment. I think he just kind of like made fun of it a little bit, that he did admit that he reacted a little too late. Mostly because that's textbook answers. You don't react to a supply shock immediately, but it wasn't a textbook situation. So so in terms of like public consumers, what was it? Spending, I think it's going to be overly reduced overall. And having insurance doing all that shit, it gives more incentive to switch over. So switch over to Geico and save 15%.
We're not
I
sponsored by Geico,
don't-
but Geico come to us.
Yeah,
They're not
Geico
our
sponsor
sponsor.
us.
Warren
I-
Buffett,
Just kidding.
talk to us.
Yeah, for government employees, right?
I really think it's just a short-term thing. It's not a big deal. Let's just see how, whenever you renew your premiums, see how that is when you renew your insurance. I really thought you were talking about life insurance. I'm more interested in about life insurance.
Oh,
That'd be
you know what?
more interesting. I'd be interested to see if that actually increases if at the time when you go. That's being a very interesting point.
My insurance did went up. I did remember I have to renew it in August. And I was paying this like ridiculously good deal. It was like freaking like $400 or $300 or whatever. It was very low for 6 months. And now I have to pay like no, it was I think 200. Now I have to pay 400. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's a fucking big interest, man. Like an increase. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Hold on,
I think
you did 6 months? Oh, dude, I
Mhm.
did the 1 year, so I'm good for 1 year. I one lump sum pay for 1 year.
that's nice.
Ah.
That's
Oh,
nice.
that makes sense for you now.
It makes more sense for me.
Yeah. No, I'm saying like you told me
Yeah.
and I was like, holy
Yeah.
shit. Yeah. No, that's nice.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
chances are we might be paying
uh,
the same or equivalent.
I was
Yeah,
gonna.
I save like $500 compared to we pay
Wow.
per month, right? If you do the math, really.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask because like insurance companies, they don't like you to go like long term.
Well, no, they really don't. It's
Yeah.
like basically going to Sam's Club and buying something from there compared to somewhere else at Walmart. It's cheaper if you buy in bulk.
Yeah, absolutely. I was gonna say, unfortunately, this is just for car, home, and other like
Interesting.
equipment insurance, and I think it would be interesting to have the discussion for life insurance on another sub-press segment, possibly. I think that would be useful for a lot of people to discuss.
Everybody get life insurance.
I've been noticing though, public warning, SEC hopefully or whoever, consumer right groups or whatever, make sure that you guys are very careful in joining like all these like private equity life insurance group or whatever where they're trying to sell life insurance. Like it might not seem to be pyramid schemes, or there might be a website that proves they're not. However, the thing is with life insurance, it's just basically a pool of money, and they have a very strict, well, I won't say strict, but very specific terms. So especially like car insurance as well. Like all these insurance have very specific terms, and how they make majority of their money is obviously premiums, but also denying people insuring.
Yeah.
Yeah, like for me, like my insurance, like during deployment, basically they told me, oh, we got you covered. An animal basically bit like some wiring and my car wouldn't start when I came home from deployment. And then like the inspector came like, oh no, we can't do that anymore. And I'm just like, interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I pay all
Be
that.
careful.
I get all that and get nothing. What?
Yeah.
Smack.
Wow.
Dang. Well, everybody. Well, that's what we have for this week. We're gonna come back with our ending thoughts. All right. And Matthews, what do you think? What's your thoughts for this week? Ending thoughts?
Well, this is a few months ago. The issue was just the supply chain issues that we're discussing, and that was a never-ending topic, and that still continues. But currently, the inflation bite into everybody's income savings is continuing to have its impact. And AT&T just came out with a report that they're having an increasing number of their customers paying late, on average 2 days late a month. And that may not sound like a lot, but for them on the aggregate, it is quite a lot. And that would mean other similar companies are experiencing the same thing. So increasing their premiums. Not premiums in this case, I guess, their charges, and to make up for other bad unpaid stuff. And I think for me, it's just inflation is going to continue to eat away at almost everything. But until the political leadership in the country decides to do certain things to resolve the supply chain issues that continue to exist and the supply issues that continue to exist, especially in terms of oil and energy, we're going to continue to have the same issue. And if you can reach out to your Congress people, senators, to write to them to address it, especially if you live in a red state, please do. And it will go a long way, is all I can say, because Fed is doing all it can, and I think it's time for Congress to do something, and continuing to agitate the Congress to do something will definitely go a long way, is all I can say.
This, for my thoughts of this week, kind of relates to the guy from China Evergrande CEO resigns after the loans that he kind of made were under scrutiny because he tried to announce to restructure the debt of more than $300 billion, and that didn't go well. So this thought tells me that a lot of your typical investing, if you're into investing in any kind of venture capitalists or in buying a car or buying a home, it's going to be really hard to find, getting approved for a loan these days because banks are kind of tamping down their risks as much as they can, so they don't want to repeat what happened in 08 for especially in the housing market. So I've been seeing that a lot these days. I've been seeing that, hearing stories that with my friends and family that it's getting hard to get a loan. So just hammer down, it'll be a bumpy road, but it'll be clear in the future. So be optimistic. That's my thoughts of the week. Adam?
You guys got me so interested in a microchip. So I was looking actually at the Apple M1 and how it's really not a microchip. It's actually an integrated system between all the like GPU and CPU and all that jazz. But the one key component of it is, it's kind of hilarious, but it's the microchip from the Taiwan semiconductor manufacturing company. And it seems like regardless of like whether if it's a new integrated chips made by NVIDIA or Intel or Texas Instruments, they rely heavily on even just like the simplest little thing from Taiwan. And so I do hope that subsidy does influence a lot of us trying to build the micro stuff, because having it micro helped a lot, especially when it comes to the resources and input kits. So far, like China and Russia has been the top silicone producer in the world, and so Brazil, United States, and I think like France or something like that. Now we make up 10%, and it all came from Nevada. So I mean, like the sheer fact is that if we do find an alternate to silicone as a means of production, that'll be awesome, especially with the whole 3D printing type of fact. So maybe that would help. But that's something that's pretty cool.
Whatever can reduce our dependence on China or Russia would be just, or even Saudi Arabia.
Taiwan.
Taiwan, number one.
Taiwan and China are separate. Chinese government don't cancel us. Just a fact that some people accept.
Do they have YouTube? I don't think they have YouTube. Do they?
Can't rely on Taiwan, right?
It can't because they're
Mhm.
in danger all the time from China. So yeah.
or Malaysia or all these countries that do semi-conducting. So
Mhm.
I still want to find
we're
China.
probably
though.
censored by the Chinese government. Like right now. So I
Free
can't post
algorithm.
on their, version of TikTok. Right?
Yeah.
Thanks for your thoughts. I think that really sums up this week. We were very excited for next week because we're gonna have some cool ass stories and insights for us to tell y'all. So thank you for all your listeners that you've been listening to here. We really appreciate you. Please like and subscribe, comment the video, let us know what topics you want to listen to. We will really think about them and talk about them if you comment. So hey, that's it from us at Bam Matthews, the Balloon Animal. We'll check you out. Love you guys.